Hello, today we will create and edit tables in our new GenExis, GenExis 4.0. At the moment of recording of this video, it is September 2022, and maybe when you're watching it, we have already improved something here, but main principles and settings will remain as I'm showing them, and if we're planning to change something, I will mention it. So let us open an exercise. Here we already have some tables, but first of all, I will create a new one from scratch. For this, I'm going here in the toolbar and I choose table. And here I can create my table. Now this tool is quite similar to what we see in Google Documents or Microsoft. For example, I want to create a table with 4 columns and 5 rows, like this, 5 rows. And here it is. I will leave it for now, and I will edit the already existing tables. There are actually 3 ways of how we can access the instruments for editing the tables. First one is here in the toolbar. So here we have different instruments. The second one is when we click somewhere inside the table, we see these buttons at the top. I will tell you about them. They're quite convenient in my opinion. And the third one is when we click somewhere in the table with the right mouse button, and we see the context menu. Here are the same properties. So it depends on you or which way is the fastest and the most convenient this you can use, but I will begin from the top, from the toolbar, and here I will show you the instruments that we have. So first of all, we have the cell and cell properties. Here we have the width and height. Actually, they are not quite commonly used in GenExis, speaking of the cell, and I will show you these when I'll edit the whole table, the table properties. Then the next two, cell type and scope, we will probably delete because we don't need them. Cell type is, here we have cell and header cell, but even when I'm creating the header of the table, I will leave it as is, just cell, and that's all. Same for the scope. Scope are also different types of cells that can be there, but we're not using them. So I will not waste our time. We will just leave it as none. So for these two settings, just don't touch them and leave them as they are by default. Whichever type of cell you want to create and whichever contents you want to have, just cell and none here. Next, we have horizontal and vertical align. These two settings, especially the horizontal align, you may sometimes need. For example, I want to have my cell contents in the center. And here we see that the word economy is now in the center because I've had this cell chosen. But I want to remind you that according to our standards, we align everything left, be it the text or the table or the picture. We keep everything left aligned. Sometimes if it is the header of the table, then yes, it's reasonable to have the text in the middle. But when we have just usual table contents, then we just keep them aligned left, and that's all. That is why I'm entering the cell properties and changing my horizontal align to my default. Yes, default is none. It is same as left. Yes, you can choose either left or none, but just choose none, and that's all. Speaking of the vertical align, well, if you have a big cell and there is a big cell padding, that maybe you will need the vertical align, but also it's quite uncommon. Okay, I will save this. Next is finally that we have merge cell instrument. Before that, if you remember, if you have used GenExis previously, we couldn't merge the cells of our GenExis tables, and we had to make tables as pictures if we wanted to have something merged, but now we can do it in GenExis. I will create the header of this table. For this, I will select all the cells in my first row, and I will go to cell and merge cell. Here my cells are merged, and I will delete some words that have become the contents of this cell, and just make this first words economic botany as the header of the cell. It is better to have them in the middle. Of course, the fastest way is align center, use this instrument here, and that's all. In the normal situation, you would probably do this because this is faster and more convenient. But today I'm showing you the properties of the table, and that is why I'll show you like this. So we go to cell properties, and horizontal align I will have in center, and vertical line will make middle as well. It doesn't impact anything right now, but maybe for the future, if something happens with my table, if I edit it in any way, it is better to have the header of the table in the middle. So I'm saving it and making this text bold, and voila, we're having the table with the header. Next up, I will merge these 4 cells. I select them, and then I go to cell, merge cells, and now I have one big cell, and also all the text that I had in my 4 cells I have in one now. And I can go in reverse, so I can go to cell and split cells. Again, now I have 4 cells instead of 1, as I had previously. I will put the text back in place. Actually, I don't remember which word was in which cell, but at this moment it is not that important. We see that our cell, our table has changed its width, and it is quite weird. I have to correct it. For this, I will select my table, and the safest way is do it like this, clear formatting. Didn't help. Okay, so let us try one more way. The problem is probably here in these 2 cells. If I select them both and go to the cell properties, here see that width is quite weird. I will delete it. It didn't help either. Okay. Okay, here we go. I selected the cell properties and inserted the auto width. It means that the cells width are the same, adjusted to the text that I have inside it. Okay, let us go next. Next up, we have instruments for editing rows. Here it is quite self-explanatory. We have inserting rows, deleting rows, and row properties. Okay, so we can insert the row before this here. Now we can delete the row. Okay, let us look at the row properties. Again, here row type, we don't touch it. We leave it by default, body. Here also header, body, footer. Even if you're creating a header, just leave it as is, leave it as body. Alignment, same. Usually, in most of the cases, it is left alignment or none. None is by default. It also means left alignment. If you're having if you're editing the first row of the table and you're making the header, then you can use the center alignment. The height of the row is usually just blank, and that's all. Then some advanced instruments for row editing. In case you need them, you can cut, copy, paste. Let us cut this first row and paste it in the middle. Here we go. Let us copy the first row, the one which is the first at the moment. and inserted before the last row. Here we go. So in case you need to edit something fast, you can use these instruments as well. Next up, we have column. Column properties are quite same as the row properties and instruments. So inserting columns, deleting columns, cutting and copying. In case these last two, paste column before and after, are not working, maybe you can then. Oh, they're not working now because I haven't cut or copied anything. Okay, so I will maybe delete this row here. And now I can let us copy the second column and insert it before the last column. Here, like this. What else? Well, nothing more to say about columns. Now we go to the table properties. So here, width is sometimes needed. Height, not really, maybe just for correcting if something has changed here, but width maybe of use for you. So if you remember, in our previous version of GenExis, we had this option here. This is a previous version. We had in the table properties table width, and we could change it to 100% width of our screen or our content, 55, 50, 25, 75, or automatic. So we could choose it here. For example, if I want it to be 100% width of my content, then I choose 100%, and we see now that it's very wide. Speaking of our new GenExis, you do the same in the table properties in the width. Let us write 100%, and it means 100% width of our content. Let us save it. Here you see, and let us see it on the preview. I will show you for this training the table preview on desktop, because for mobile it's not really reasonable. Here, see, it is 100% of our exercise. So our exercise ends here where the white frame ends, and this table is 100%. Let us make it 50%. Again, we go to, oh, this is the old exercise, old GenExis. Here is the new GenExis. So we open the table properties, and in the width we make it 50%. It'll be 1/2 of the screen. Here we have 1/2 of the screen width, and same on the preview. Here it's the half, but usually by default it is automatic width, the width of the table, and all the columns adjust to the content, to the words or the text that we have inside. And I will just go and return it. We could either write auto, like automatic, or just leave it blank, yeah, delete it. For the height, I told you that rarely use, but the principle is the same. Now, cell spacing and cell padding. Cell spacing is the spacing between the cells of the table, and cell padding is it is a space between the contents of the cell, or usually it's a text, and the frames or the borders of the cell. Here is the picture, explanatory picture from our Latvian website. Saturs, it means the words that is inside the table, inside the cell. So cell spacing is everything which is in blue, the space between the borders of the table and borders of each individual cell. But usually, like, I don't know, maybe 99 or 100% of cases, we don't make the tables where we have spacing between the cells. So the space between the cells is 0, just the lines, the borders, and that's all. But speaking of cell padding, the one that is in green here, everything, the space between the text inside the cell and the cell borders. Sometimes you may need it. Rarely, but in case you have big cells, you may need it. Let me demonstrate. But if you want to change the cell spacing, better consult your editor and or designer and explain why you want to do it. Because usually you just leave it 0 by default. For the sake of demonstration, let me insert, no, it's just 0 here. I mean, cell padding I wanted to edit, sorry. For the sake of demonstration, the cell padding I will change to 30 pixels, 30 px I write. And here you see that the table has changed. It has a lot of air inside it, and the space between our words and the borders of the cells is quite big. But I want to return it as it was because no need for this. I will just delete cell padding and now it will be normal. Border width. Again, border width we leave by default. It is 1 pixel and it's 99% of cases when you will have 1 pixel. For the sake of demonstration, again, I will show you 5 pixels. Here we go. The borders of the table are quite thick now. But it is prohibited to do like this, and we will go to table properties and return it to 1 pixel. Next, caption and show caption. We will delete this. Just don't use it. If we use caption like this here, here you see we have the caption. We can write something here like economic botany again, but it will have no borders around it. It will have only this border beneath, and that's all. And it is against the content development methodology to do like that. Here, economic botany, you see, nothing around it. Not correct. That is why, if I want to create the header of my table, I just merge the cells in the first row, as I showed you before, and I have the text there. Here, I don't show this caption, I don't do this, so leave by default unticked. Alignment. This is alignment of the whole table, where it is in our content. For example, like in the center of the content, here. But again, according to content development methodology, the tables must be aligned left, unless approved by the editor. That is why I return it as it was. Table properties, alignment, none or left, but none by default it is left. Advanced properties of the table. Border style is always solid line. Here, of course, we do have options of making a dotted, dashed, double, etc., but don't do it, just leave it solid. This is for the sake of correction of some tables that I will show you later. Border color. Border color, by default, we have the same as the text color. It is really convenient now because in all GenExis sometimes we change the border color to gray. Now we don't need to do that. You see the text on our website, it is not actually black, pitch black, it is dark gray, and if we have the black border of the table, you will see that it is more contrast than the text, and it is not correct because first that the user must see it is the contents of the table, not the borders of it. I have some screen settings, screen scaling that maybe alters how the borders look on my screen, but just believe me that now they're black and they're more contrast than the text, and it is incorrect. So to have it correctly, to make it correct, just make sure that in the table properties, in advanced properties, you have removed. So if you want to correct, just remove the color, and here it is like this. So it is not none, but default. A default setting is what you need. Actually, if you create a new table, it will be like this. You don't need to change anything. Same for background color. Background color is always transparent, and that's all. We don't do any other backgrounds in the table. Here, speaking of the colors, I want to remind you that we have only several colors that are allowed on the website. Uh, 4 or 5, I don't actually remember. If you don't know what these colors are, you can ask your editor or designer. But in majority of cases, you will only need the colors that you already have in GenExis, and that's all. Anyhow, I will show you how to change the color to one which is allowed, but if you want to do it, confirm with your editor. So here I click on border color. I never use these colors which are here because these are not the colors which we use on the website. I want to use a custom color. Here, if I know this number of a color, I can use it. I know the number of our green color, of our class green color. Here it is, yes, so I know this number, here it is. And now my borders, the borders of my table are green. They are in our brand green color. But in this case, it is unnecessary actually, and I will make it as it was. So I go here in advanced, and if I want to correct it, I click here, and then I click here on remove color. Now it is default, just default transparent. It's not transparent actually, our dark gray color. That's all. Now what else we have in our instruments? Delete table. Yes, we can easily delete table in a couple of clicks. I've deleted and nothing broke, but if I did it by mistake, I just click on Ctrl Z and I return my table. Next, what I have, these buttons here. So if I click somewhere inside my table, just make it a little bit bigger. Yes, I will have these buttons, and they are quite convenient and easy to use. So here I can easily access table properties and change something or check something, whether everything is fine. Then again, I can delete my table quite quickly, Ctrl Z, returning it. Then editing or removing rows. So insert, delete row. For example, I want to insert blank row here and deleting it. Blank row after this, delete it again. Same with the columns here. So let us insert the column before, let us insert the column after. Now let us delete these unnecessary columns. So, oops. So quite a fast and easy way to alter your table. And of course you can use the context menu by clicking the right button of your mouse. First, you have some common actions: undoing, redoing, cutting, copying, pasting text, selecting all contents in your exercise or theoretical material. So it is not about the table, but here we have instruments for table. They're the same that I've shown you here in the instrument panel, so I will not repeat myself. Same here, you can access cell properties, row properties, inserting, deleting, etc. Column properties, inserting, deleting, cutting, pasting, etc. Table properties, deleting table and inserting the link somewhere inside the cell. Now let us correct the table which I have pasted from the Google Documents, and it has been pasted incorrectly. First of all, I see that the text here is, not the text, the font here is incorrect. It is not Open Sans, and it is black. And first thing that I do is removing the formatting from the text. Now my font is correct, but the borders of my table are still not as they're supposed to be. So I'm just clicking here somewhere in the table and entering table properties. For me, the fastest way is here. And I see a border width is correct, it's 1 pixel, but in advanced properties, I see that the border style is dashed. I don't need this, I need solid border as usual. And border color is black. It is also wrong, it should be default, and default is none. So I click here on this black square, and then I choose this line here, remove color. Now everything is fine as it is supposed to be. Very nice. Let us check on the preview. Here, yes, it is as it's supposed to be. Also, the table which I've edited before, I have made the width of the table automatic. So see here we see that it's been adjusted to the text which is inside. Okay, now sometimes we need to make our table borders transparent. And at the moment, I can do it only with a table which consists of one cell. I will explain you why. First of all, I'll show you a table consisting of one cell. For this, let us edit this table. Here I will remove, oops, no. I will remove these columns. I will merge, just repeating something that we had seen before, merge these cells here, and now I have the table which consists of one cell. Let us also make the width automatic. Okay, good. Now I want to make the borders of this cell or the table transparent. For this I go to the table properties, and in advanced properties in border style I choose the hidden, the one which is at the bottom, hidden border. Now it is transparent. Let us check it. In the preview, actually, in the mobile preview, it is not shown correctly, but if we look at the desktop preview, here we see our table is transparent, the border is transparent. Now, why I'm showing you this? Because if we go to other table, like this table, which consists of many rows, many columns, and if we choose table properties and we make the border style hidden, as I've shown you in the previous example, in GenExis it is transparent, but actually on the preview and on the website it'll be like this here. So the outer border will be transparent and other borders in the table will be visible. This is incorrect. If I want to make my table borders transparent, probably I want to make every border transparent. The thing is that the borders of the table, all borders of the table are made transparent via editing the cell properties. At the moment, we don't have it in GenExis at the moment of recording of this video, but we will add this property and I will show you on the preview of the TinyMCA. I've actually opened the TinyMCA website. TinyMCA is the editor of HTML, which we're using in our new GenExis. It has some instruments, a lot of them, they're convenient. That is why we're using them. And so I will show you on the example of this table here how to make it transparent, how to make all borders in the table transparent. For this, I'm selecting all the cells of my table and I'm opening cell. Open it in the context menu, right click, but also you can open it in the instrument panel. Okay, anyhow, so I'm opening the cell properties by selecting all the cells. And here I have the advanced cell properties. In GenExis, I have only general table cell properties at the moment, but we will add the advanced cell properties in the future. And here, in the border style of the cells, I choose hidden. And now all the borders in the table are transparent. So you will do it like this. Just wait a little bit. In the upcoming future, we will add, so you will be able to select your table. I'll select this one. You'll be able to select also all the cells of your table. And so either here or by opening the context menu, you choose a cell properties, and you will have advanced properties, and there in the border style you will choose hidden. Yes, so please remember it for the future. I think this is all for today. Speaking of editing the tables or creating the tables, so I want to remind you that most of the properties that we looked at today, you will just leave by default and it'll be the correct way of acting. So colors, alignment, all these things you will in most cases leave by default, and if you want to alter them, then approve it with your editor. The tables must be crisp, clear, laconic, and made according to the content development methodology. Don't use any special colors that come to your mind. Use only the colors that are allowed. Use only the alignment which is allowed. If you want to have some colors, yes, you can use bold here. You can use, instead of bold, you can use, or as complement to the bold, you can use also our brand color, yes, which is our brand green color, or you can use emphasize template. Yes, you can use emphasis if you want to emphasize something in your table, like a table header or something, but probably table header will be bold. Please don't use math emphasis as emphasizing the text. Math emphasis is used for the formulas, for math expressions. If you want to emphasize the text, use emphasis here. That is all. Most of the options that you will be probably using is merging cells, inserting rows, inserting, deleting columns. Yes, merging cells is here. And all other properties are mostly for correcting the tables that you have inserted from somewhere and making them good looking according to content development methodology. Also, when creating the tables, please check how they look on the mobile. It is recommended that the tables fit in the mobile view if it is possible. But anyhow, tables are good instrument for the content creators, and we hope that now it'll be much faster and easier for you to edit and create them. Thank you and have a nice day.